Kicking it with KeKe. Kicking it with KeKe. Kicking it with KeKe. Full of personality. Switching up the storyline on God, we making history.
Writing books, changing lives, one day at a time. Put your problems to the side. Enjoy yourself. Free your mind.
Kicking it with KeKe.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Kicking It with KeKe, Love, Life, and all that other shit. I am your host, Author KeKe Chanel. Listen, we are talking self-awareness today. I am joined with Pastor Amos Chandler today. How are you, sir? How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for kicking it with me today. We'll go ahead and jump right into our topic. We are talking self-awareness. What does self-awareness mean to you?
And I know you posed this question to me a while back, and I thought about it. Self-awareness to me is basically the ability to know what we are doing and why. You know, it's a like a self-audit. It's just knowing. It's just knowing. If nobody else should know you, you should know yourself.
Absolutely.
And self-awareness helps with that.
I love that self-audit. I like that because, you know, we all know what an audit means. We know that term well. So I feel like when we take self-accountability and that audit, we become self-aware. And then things around us becomes a whole lot clearer because let's just face it, a lot of people are not self-aware. They're self-absorbed, but they're not self-aware.
Yes, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. Yeah.
It's scary. So many people are just not aware of what, not even themselves, but their surroundings. People don't pay attention anymore like they should.
Yes.
And and I'm not listening. I'm not trying to be a preacher or anything like that. I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes, but this is Kicking It with KeKe, and we talk about topics that are uncomfortable so that we can change the narrative within our culture, our community, in our households, in our lives.
Yes.
Because when you want better, you do better.
Correct.
You can't be selfish when it comes to that. You have to try to put it out there so everybody can grasp it who wants to grasp that. So, the topic of self-awareness is something that I wanted to touch on, especially with you, because, you're an educator as well. So how do you see in your students self-awareness or the lack thereof when it comes to education? Let's speak about that side a little bit.
And even before we go into that topic or that depth of it, because as you was talking, I was thinking about how, and I know a lot of people got the pros and cons, and it seems like there's more cons about the pandemic than anything. But one of the biggest pros about the pandemic was the individuals that were becoming more self-aware. And individuals that kind of believed in themselves, but just didn't see the opportunity as much as they previously saw it, and just made these leaps of faith, going into business, changing careers, and really doing things that are making them feel more fulfilled in life. Because one thing about self-awareness, it leads you to fulfillment if you want to be fulfilled. Yes.
I love that because I'm one of those people. I was one of those people that had always talked about starting a podcast and just kept putting it off. And the pandemic was like, okay, y'all can't go nowhere. So what are you going to do?
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, let me see how this going to go. And starting my live show on Instagram, that has been so rewarding for me. So I was like, why not do the podcast? So here we are today doing this podcast. So I am grateful that I took the time out to self-reflect and become more self-aware, because I'm a self-aware person. I do believe so. but it allowed me to get out of my own way. I can sometimes do negative self-talk, and I think we're all guilty of that. We talk ourselves out of
Yeah.
doing stuff, or we say, why no one would listen to me, no one would tune in. But I'm here to say, all the listeners who are listening tonight, make sure you stay out of your own head when it comes to fulfilling your purpose. You are here for a reason.
Absolutely.
What you have to offer is relevant, and people need to hear that. Hear me when I say this.
Yes.
Get out of your own way and just go for it. Take that leap without worrying about a safety net. But we don't want to get off topic. We're talking about self-awareness tonight.
Yes.
But yeah, just
Yes.
from like
Yes.
the educational aspect of it, how have you noticed it when it comes to your students? Because they are our
There's a
future. So
Yes. And I see from an educator perspective, I see a major struggle with students today being more self-aware. They are very self-aware about some things, but when it comes to education and that balance that we're supposed to be bringing into individuals' lives, we're struggling, talking about the education system, we're struggling with the relevancy. Because remember, we talked about the ability to know what and what we're doing and why we're doing it. And the students today are challenging the education system to connect those dots.
right.
I don't want to, don't just tell me B comes after A. I don't want to know something just because you told me I need to know it.
Right.
They won't understand. They are forcing us to give them an understanding, because people today have, from the youngest to the oldest, realize they have a voice. They have a
I
voice.
love
That
that.
self-awareness is like, oh, I got a voice,
Yeah.
and they are using it. And so I believe in education, we have to teach them to use it for the right cause, the right reason,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So looking within, how important is it to become self-aware by just looking within yourself, taking the time out and doing some self-evaluation to look within? How important is that when it comes to self-awareness, in your opinion?
You cannot, I believe it was Shakespeare said, to thy own self be true.
Be true.
So you cannot even be true to yourself without looking, through self-awareness and looking within. And a part of self-awareness is being able to listen to the opinions of others. Not to say that their opinion is right, but why are they saying what they're saying? Or why multiple people are saying the same thing? Are you even paying attention? Because self-awareness is not enough to know about yourself without the desire to grow and evolve into the best individual that you can possibly be in this life.
Right. Absolutely. I love that. You have to, at some point in time, you should say, you know what, I'm not doing enough in this world.
Yes.
And I want to change that. So
yes,
it starts from being self-aware and taking that look within, because if, like you said, if you're not able to look within to evaluate what's going on inwardly, the stuff that happens outwardly will eat you alive. Like you have to be tough in this world that we live in. Like you said, the kids are challenging us. They don't want to just say, because I told so, I'm told you so, because I'm the parent. No, they want to know why. Like my son challenges me, and I'm glad that he does. But hey, he gonna have a rude awakening because his mama done been there. Yeah. And he is getting ready to become a teenager. So I'm glad that he has that mentality of, I want to learn for myself. Let me research it for myself. Let me find out for myself instead of just taking what you're saying and going with it. Like, I love that he asks questions. I love that he asks questions, because as long as he's asking questions, his zeal for knowledge is there. He wants to know. He wants to grow. He wants to find out the answers to whatever problem or whatever solution there may be. And I am so glad that he is very self-aware at 12 years old. So I credit myself to that. Nothing against my husband, but I credit myself to that.
Right, right. And being self-aware too also helps with relationships.
Right.
Because the more self-aware I am, the more I can actually meet people where they are, love
Right.
people where they are, relate to people where they are,
Mm-hmm.
because they're not me. Truth be told, they're not me, and I shouldn't even expect them to be me.
Right.
And self-awareness helps with that.
Right. And it keeps you from staying stuck in one-sided. It keeps you from being
Yes.
selfish in a way, because when you're
Yes.
self-aware, then you know that, okay, my way is not going to always be the right way. It's okay.
Right.
Let's have an effective communication to see where we can meet each other where we are and find a
Right.
working
Right.
solution, or just agree to disagree. So
Yes.
we're getting ready to talk about the 5 elements of self-awareness. And I would like to get your insight on each one that I mentioned. The first one being
Okay.
self-concept. When it comes to
Okay.
self-concept, what is
Mhm.
your take on that particular element of self-awareness?
How do you perceive yourself? How do
Mm,
you see yourself? People
right.
look in the mirror. At least I hope they do when they brushing their teeth, they washing their face.
Listen,
But
that
people
part.
look in the mirror, and, and so what are they seeing? What are they seeing? Because that self-concept, how they perceive themselves, is so vitally important to the other things that we're going to share. And so if I can have a positive, a positive and real way of seeing myself. I'm seeing myself really as I am. My self-concept is healthy. You know, I'm not beating myself up because this is what everybody else say or this is how everybody else think. No, what do you? Because self-concept is almost like a force shield that
Mm,
protects you from the negatives that come at us, and they come at us all.
oh.
People that are just haters, people that are jealous, envious of you, people that criticize you and ain't even constructive. They just criticize you because they feel like they have the power or the right to. And so self-concept, when it's healthy, is like a force shield protecting you. I don't need nobody to tell me. And I remember, man, I had a aunt told me, boy, you sure picking up, you sure getting big. Well, because of my healthy self-concept, I knew I was already, bigger than I would like to be. So she wasn't telling me nothing new.
Right. So it didn't hurt your
Because my
feelings.
self-awareness right, correct. So my self-awareness had me already in that ballpark.
Hmm. And we have to. I love that what you said about a force field. Like, everybody looked at that self-concept as my way of protecting myself. I think a lot of people will become more self-aware, because that's like
Yeah.
a prerequisite for us being self-aware.
Yes.
How do you see
Yes.
yourself? Like, that's something that we should ask
Yes.
audience. We would love for you. And if you're watching on YouTube, you could go ahead and put it in the comments. How do you see yourself? If you're listening in,
Yes.
just go on over to YouTube so you could look at the behind the scenes and get a picture for who you're listening to, because the live video is
Yes.
there. And just let us know, how do you see yourself? What do you love about yourself?
Absolutely.
What would you like to
Yes.
change about yourself? Being
Yes.
self-aware, it causes us to ask those hard questions. And those are not questions that are
Mm.
easy, because
Yes.
when you start getting down to all of those questions, it makes you do something that you gotta
Yes.
wait a minute. This getting a little bit too deep.
Yes.
Let me see. Yeah, because
Yeah.
we're both life coaches, and so that's our job, to
Yeah.
make people look within so they can go to the
Look
next
within.
level and be their best self. We're
Yes.
coaching people
Yes.
into becoming their best selves. And listen,
Yes.
it is not for the weak at heart. And
Yeah.
if I'm your coach, I am a coach. Like, I'm coaching you through this. We're gonna
Yes.
win this game. Like, you're gonna get up off the bench
Yes. Yes.
and you're gonna play some defense,
Yes.
and we're gonna win this
Yes.
game.
Yes.
For real.
Yes.
For real.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And I see when it comes to coaching, and you have, let's take football for instance, and you
Hmm.
have two halves. You have the first half, which has a first and a second quarter, and the second half that has a third and a fourth quarter. And the first and the second quarter you have, and man, you may be losing. Oh my gosh, you may be getting blown out. I have watched over the years, watched the coaches, the great coaches are always the ones who are able to make adjustments.
Yeah.
And so they always, okay, we may be getting blown out in the first half, but I'm looking at the second half as we starting at ground zero. I'm not even worried about how many points they have. I'm just looking at us, making some adjustments so we can go out here and still, do our best, give our best. And if we lose, it ain't because we lost, because we did our best. They just brought it more today than maybe we did. But we can learn from that and we can grow from that. And so I like that when I look at coaching from that perspective, it's you have, because everybody's different. And I don't know about you, when I'm coaching individuals, I mean, you can't never go at everybody the same way because everybody is so unique and so different and so particular. And what worked for one individual doesn't work for somebody else. And so I love the opportunities that people give us to help them be successful.
Absolutely.
And it's all their success. It's not even ours. It's all their success because, like you said, we are challenging them to look within.
And then they have to do the work. It's ultimately up to them to do the work. We can give you the playbook, but you have to study it for yourself in order to get on the field and implement those plays to win against the team called life. The team is life. And I'm looking and I'm in awe because you said my word for the year, and I haven't told you my word for this year. My word for this year is adjustment. And you just talked about being able to adjust. And I do a word every year. In 2020 was transformation. 2021 was, elevation. Then the word before that was manifestation. I do a different one. So 2022 is adjustment. We have to adjust, good or bad, in any situation. And I think adjusting when it comes to self-awareness is pivotal, because if you're not able to adjust, then your self-awareness is lowered. Because you become stuck. You become that people that's like cop-outs. Well, I am who I am. This is who I am. Take it or leave it. This is how I was raised or whatever. No. So we're talking about the 5 elements of self-awareness. We just talked about self-concept, and self-concept is really how you see yourself. The next one is thoughts. The second element of self-awareness is thoughts. Let's get into that a little bit.
That mind. What are we hearing? Not from individuals, because remember, this is about self-awareness.
Right.
And one of the elements is thoughts. So what am I thinking? Why am I thinking that? Where is that coming from? Mama said I'll never amount to nothing, or daddy said I wasn't, I'll never achieve anything, or he wasn't proud of me, or he'll never be proud of me. Man, we've heard, I don't know about you, but there may be some individuals that are watching this or listening to this that heard a lot of negative things growing up, or in their early adulthood, or in their marriages, their relationships, and so on and so forth. But you know what? I'm aware that people hurting people hurt people. I've come aware of that. And so when I realize somebody is coming from a place of woundedness, because that nobody in their right mind, because my self-awareness is protecting me. And so I'm saying to myself, nobody in their right mind would talk to someone that they love, or someone they care about, or someone that they want to have a healthy relationship with, the way this individual is talking to me. And so immediately my self-awareness tells me that they're wounded. And maybe it's something I said, maybe it's something I did, or maybe just because I'm here and right now I'm their punching bag,
Right.
But It's how I'm processing those thoughts that's going to make a big difference on how healthy I remain. Because
Right.
self-awareness can't be just about us knowing this and that. It's got to be about remaining healthy, And so my thoughts, what I'm hearing, and even with life coaching, okay, I went to school for life coaching, so on and so forth, but I'm still like exposing myself even with our relationship, and I'm always telling you how this relationship is continuing to bless me, because we're able to the Bible says iron sharpen iron. We're able to encourage one another and glean from one another and inspire one another.
Right,
And
right.
I try to surround myself with people like that,
Mhm.
so I can continue to rehearse those thoughts. Or maybe the last meeting and something was shared, or go to some of the notes that I wrote down from our last conversation, and I'm very mindful of what I think about, because what we
Absolutely.
think about ultimately is produces action in
Yes.
some way, somehow. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you have to mind your thoughts. And I have a book that's called that, Mind Your Thoughts. And so you have to be careful what you put inside yourself mentally, because that will trigger your emotions, and then your emotions will trigger your actions. Actions and reactions, yeah, they're one and the same, but the way that your actions causes you to react to certain things, it can be catastrophic or detrimental to your overall well-being. So you have to be careful what you put inside your mind. And that could be reading something that you shouldn't be reading, watching something that you know that you're not able to watch. Because if we've ever gone through anything that is trauma or traumatic, that has triggers. So if you don't recognize those triggers, it's all about recognizing those triggers. And that comes from the thought, like, you know what? If I know that I cannot have cheese because I've had a bad experience with cheese, why would I go and eat all of this cheese knowing that it's not going to agree with me? And so we have to take that as, okay, I know that I grew up and maybe my mom triggers me because she's very blunt. Or maybe my dad triggers me because he said something to me when I was 5 years old and I just can't let it go. So unless you can come to the realization that I need to heal from this by having a conversation with these people, then we tend to shy away from certain situations, or we should, that can cause us to go back to that place of 5 years old. And so we're a adult in our 40s, but we have the mindset of a 5-year-old when it comes to certain things, because that our thoughts are feeding those emotions still, because we haven't looked at those things. So yeah, the things that we have to be mindful of our thoughts and our way of thinking, because so as a man thinketh, so is he. We have to know that, you know what, I cannot afford to be around people who are always negative, because then that's gonna jump into my spirit, and I'm gonna take on that, like transferring of spirits or emotions or feelings. I believe in that.
Yes, I do too.
And that brings us to our next element of self-awareness, which is number 3, feelings.
Yes. How do we react to what people say about us and to us? How are we reacting? Because self-awareness, healthy self-awareness is going to be revealed in our feelings. How we're feeling, and I shared this with an individual recently about boundaries, because a lot of things you were talking about has to do with boundaries as well, because self-awareness also helps me to learn and appreciate my boundaries, my space. And because I was looking at your shirt too, don't forget having access to
me
you
is a privilege. Yes.
Exactly. And we give access to people, and that is a privilege for people to have access to us, to people to be invited in our space. And so, which is a level of vulnerability as well, Because if I allowed you in my space, you are closer to me than a stranger on the street.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes people that are close to us, you know, we've invited in our space, or maybe we hadn't invited, you know, they have a tendency to touch our feelings in a way, or touch us in a way that provoke our feelings to get stirred up. And like you were saying, even because a lot of things you based off of experience. The last time, you know, and it could be 10, 15, 20 years down the road that you're responding or feeling the same way. You know, I've been triggered to feel this way because of, you know, something my girlfriend did to me when I was 13 years old. You know what I'm saying? And I never got healed from that, you know. And self-awareness helps us to deal with our feelings, as far as paying attention to how I'm reacting to what people are saying and about me. You know, that's what they're saying, but like somebody said, just because they're saying it doesn't mean that it's true. You know, and sometimes out of our reaction, we can kind of give an indication that they have pushed the button. Feelings are like buttons. and I remember, man, you know, because sometimes you can push a button and it don't work. And so that's something how some people who are not for us can know our buttons better than we know ourselves because we lack self-awareness.
Absolutely. And that's what I was just about to say, that when you're self-aware, them people who push those buttons, they don't get to you like that. They don't get to you like that. And then they eventually move on to someone else because they see that you're untouchable in that sense. So being able to control our feelings is something that we all should strive to work toward, because I don't believe that you should give anyone that much power over you to control your feelings.
Correct.
How you react to certain things, it is like the most rewarding thing when you can learn how to, okay, you know, I saw something on social media like a while ago that says, when you decide to delete that full paragraph that you was about to text, or you know, delete the words that you were about to say to someone and just say okay, you're freed from that. Like, you're over that. Because when you hold on to something that controls you in that type of way, that's toxic. Whether it be a relationship, whether it be, you know, putting bad food inside yourself or whatever, we have to know when something is toxic, because it tends to control us. And when something tends to control our feelings, then if it's controlling our feelings, you already know that that's all we're thinking about. We're constantly thinking about, because it's controlling us. And so our self-concept is out the window, because it's null and void, because our emotions and our feelings are so, well, our thoughts and our feelings are so, I'm jumping ahead a little bit because emotions is the fifth one. Our feelings and our thoughts are being trapped by someone else. And having self-awareness, it gives you, like you said, that force field to protect yourself. And protecting yourself, when it comes to self-awareness, I believe that you have to start inwardly. It comes from within first. Like, okay, am I gonna be better than I was last week today? I need to, because the whole purpose in life is to grow, right? Change, grow, and evolve into your very best self. So if you allowing other people to come in and keep you so bound in your feelings and your thoughts, they control who you are ultimately. You may not realize it, but they are in control of you. Just like the enemy, if he could come in and control your mind, they say the idle mind is the devil's playground. So you always have to feed your mind with positive thoughts, positive feelings, positive people. Surround yourself with positive, like anything that keeps you trapped or bound, that's something that you need to let go.
Yes, absolutely.
And so that segues into the next element of self-awareness, which is our bodies. Our bodies are our temple.
Physical. Yes, our physical responses to an emotion or to our feelings, our body language, because sometimes it's subtle and sometimes it's easily noticed. What's going on with it, with us, with self. And I'm telling you, just even meditating on all of this prior to today led me to, and the Lord said the same, my new book, and I'll share that with you when we get a chance on, with ourselves. But because it deals with self-awareness, it deals with self. It just dives into self. Let's talk about self. Let's investigate self.
See, that is that's so amazing, because I did a podcast and it was called Self. And I talked about self-reflection, self-inventory, self-esteem, self-love, self-care. I talked about just the power of self. So look at God. Okay, God, we see you. We see you.
Man, yes, indeed. Yeah. But that body language, that anxiousness that we feel from, certain responses or reactions to something, maybe certain things causes me to cry or want to cry, and just that your body, what's going on with your body? What are you noticing about your body when things are happening around you and to you?
Yeah, because you hit it on the nail, like anxiousness. A lot of people don't realize that, like you see people shaking their fingers or bouncing their legs and stuff like that's a form of anxiousness. And if we don't know how to work that out of our,
I'm working on that. I'm working on mine.
If you're not self-aware, you don't realize that's anxiousness, and it can overwhelm you. Like that makes me anxious. Like seeing somebody bouncing their foot or whatever, that makes me very anxious.
Look, I was in a meeting with another educator. We was in just an orientation meeting. I think we was meeting. We're an online school. My school that I work for is an online school, and so we was at a meeting with like potential new families or something like that. And so me and this other educator was sitting all the way in the back, the very last table, and I was at the table, and like you said, I was shaking my knee. I was, my leg up under the table.
Bouncing your leg.
Now, bouncing my leg up under the table. She had to, and this was like her first year working with us. So she didn't know me and I didn't know her. But she turned to me and said, "Hey, can you please stop? That's really like bothering me." And I'm like, and I had to be, but what she did was make me self-aware, because I was doing that and didn't realize I was doing it. What happened was I was getting cold. And I didn't have a jacket on. And that one leg, my right leg, would not stop moving up and down. And I guess it was a form of my body trying to generate heat or something.
I don't know.
As well as just being anxious, wanting the meeting to be over with, wanting to be out of there and going about my business. And but when she brought it to my attention, I was like, wow, you know what? I don't even know why I was doing it. Be honest with you,
subconsciously, subconsciously, it's a soothing mechanism for you. So when you're unaware, then it can consume you, and you realize, you know what? When you become self-aware, you're like, why am I doing this? Like I was sitting in the airport one day, and I had this young girl. She had to be about maybe 14, 15. And she was like shaking, like the whole row of the seating, she was moving around that much. And I just let out a deep sigh, because I didn't have anywhere else to sit. The airport was full. And I just let out a deep sigh. And her mom taught her leg and was like, "You're doing it again." So I guess it was something that she was trying to get her to become self-aware of. And she was like, that lady is being disturbed by that. I didn't open my mouth. I just let out a deep sigh, because that makes me anxious, and I have to calm myself and realize that I cannot control anybody else. I only control myself.
Right.
Let me take myself out of the situation, but I couldn't take myself out of that situation, because I was in the airport waiting for my flight. Didn't want to move because the seating was limited. And so the fact that her mom was self-aware for her, I appreciated that. And she looked at me, she said, "I'm so sorry." I said, "It's fine. It's fine. You deal with stuff the way that you deal with it, but when we're so anxious in our bodies, it shows, it can fester and become something bigger. So we just have to do a better job. And I meditate and I listen to like meditation music and stuff like that
Mhm.
to keep me in that space of letting go of all the angst that I have, because I have anxiety. It's not how
Yes.
it was when I was younger, because I have found ways to help me get through it. But our bodies
Right.
can tell on us without saying a word.
Mhm.
Bouncing of the
Right.
hands or fidgeting or whatever, or rubbing your neck,
Right.
whatever it may be, it tells that we're
Mhm.
we're 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 not self-aware, because we can catch those things when we are.
Yes.
So, and that
Yes.
brings us to our final element of self-awareness, which is emotions. Oh my God.
Mhm.
H Town has a song called
Yes.
Emotions. And it's one of my
Okay.
favorite songs, but elements of self-awareness, you can get lost in other
Yes.
things. So we talking about these elements. The first one was self-concept. Second one was thoughts. Number three was feelings. Number four was body. And then the
Yeah.
final one is emotions. Let's get into
Yes.
the emotions, because I really believe that this one is the like the mind-blowing one, the
Mhm.
emotions.
Yes.
So when it comes
Yes.
to
Yes.
self-awareness and emotions, talk about that a little bit.
Emotions can be compared to a roller coaster, where
Mm,
you have your highs and your lows, your ups and your downs. And so what is needed when it comes to self-awareness is emotional intelligence,
oh.
where we have the ability to recognize and accept these various states of emotions. Because we
Mhm,
all are human. We all are
mhm,
human, man. We're gonna feel what we feel. We're gonna think what we think. But when you're able to recognize and regulate, and respond correctly. Yeah, I'm feeling a certain way, and okay, I might be angry about a decision my boss made, my supervisor made. I might be highly upset, but my self-awareness tells me that if I don't remain, I have to be a professional. I work in a profession that I am expected to be a professional, and
mhm.
there is a professional way to share my emotions, or how I feel about something, or what I'm thinking about something, um, without like going overboard or going to the extreme.
Right.
Because some people think that when their emotions are really, really uh, bawling, that's an excuse to, okay, now to be validated to go overboard,
Right. Mm-mm.
overreact,
Mm.
and that's not the
Overreact.
case. That's not
Overreacting.
being, yeah. A lot of people get in trouble,
Uh-huh.
like that. I mean, even with the with what happened January the 6th last year, people were feeling whatever they were feeling. They were their emotional state was heightened, and a lot of them lost their jobs
Yep.
because they were not self-aware, you
Of
know,
their
uh,
emotions.
you know, that this doesn't work, this won't work for me. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Because these are emotions that are going to come and they're going to go.
I
You
mean, it's
know,
it's a cycle of
emotions
life.
don't stay with you.
Right. I mean, it's a part of being a human. We have emotions.
Yes,
That's
yes,
normal. But
yes,
the thing is, we cannot allow our emotions to get the best of us. Yeah, it's okay to cry, it's okay to be sad and feel a way about any situation, but work through that, let it pass, and move on. Don't stay stuck in that,
yes,
because
yes,
then it
yes,
becomes something totally different. And
yes,
now it's time to have a conversation to see, okay, do I have a problem? Do I need to go speak to a professional? What is going on?
yes,
Because being
right,
overly emotional is unhealthy.
yes, right,
But
correct,
it,
correct,
expressing your emotions, that's the healthy side of it. You have to be able to express that. When you hold on to it and leave it inside, it begins to eat
mhm,
you away in one aspect or another. You may lash out, like you
yes,
said. You might become, depressed, or you may, close yourself off or whatever, because not
yes,
everybody not everybody cares nowadays. People lack compassion and empathy toward other people. So the act
Right.
of practicing self-compassion, and I did an episode a while back with a lady, and we talked about the importance of practicing self-compassion. We have to be kind to
Okay.
ourselves. When we're able to be kind to ourselves, we love ourselves different, which means that we are
Mhm.
prone to love other people the same way we
Right.
love ourselves.
Right.
I don't believe that you can carry hatred in your heart when you know yourself, love yourself, and then that love reflects to other people. You can't do anybody harm
Yes.
because you wouldn't want to do that harm to yourself. That's just what I
Correct.
believe.
Yeah.
So
I
the
mean, even
emotion,
God tells us to love others as you would love yourself. Even
exactly.
He tells us that.
hmm
Hmm.
A lot of people just tend to overlook that, or they act like they don't know the word. Folks justify stuff by doing bad or wrong or whatever,
Yeah.
what
Oh
works
yeah.
for them.
Yeah.
And that's a whole
Yeah.
nother show. That is a whole
Yeah.
nother show.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I love the fact that, emotions make us self-aware in intimate ways,
Hmm.
because I
Yeah.
believe that if you're able to say, you know what, I'm hurting, to yourself or your
Yes.
partner or people who are close to you, and that is like a cry for some type of solace, like, okay, you're hurting, and those people around you should say, well, what can I do to help? Why
Correct.
are you hurting? Figure out that why, and then
Yes.
we can move forward to
Right.
figure out how we can
Right.
change this. So
Yes.
yeah, that emotions would probably be my favorite element when it comes to self-awareness. Do you have a
Hmm.
favorite out of the
Yeah.
five?
Um. I'm gonna probably maybe maybe because of my anxiousness, maybe body.
Oh, okay.
Because my my journey with my self-awareness have made me more sensitive to what's going on with my body,
Mm-hmm.
even with my health, my physical health.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed when I picked up a lot of weight, I wasn't as energetic. Um, I just didn't feel like myself. But when I started losing the weight, all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, you tell me that weight was the problem, was part of the problem all this time? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
was. And
Oh
my
yeah.
self-awareness kind of helped me to realize that. So I would thank body for me.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I know I've been there. I've been there because I've been on that journey, and for the last 3 years I've maintained losing 61
Yeah,
pounds. I mean, people didn't know that I was overweight. Maybe they did and they just didn't say anything,
yeah,
but they was like, "Well, when were you this weight?" When y'all was looking at
yeah.
me, that's when I was this weight. But they was like, "Well, you carried it well." No, but I felt miserable. So I had to
Right.
take a look within
Yes.
myself, practice that self concept. What am I seeing when I look at myself in the mirror?
Yes.
And I didn't like what I saw, so I did something about it. And now
Mm.
it's like I'm never going back. I would not tip the scale at 200 pounds again. Never.
Wow.
Yeah, I had got
Wow.
up to like 230, 236 was my biggest.
Okay.
And I was not
Okay.
carrying a child. So
Wow. Okay.
it was emotion.
Wow.
It was emotional eating. And, after having surgery, I couldn't move
Yeah.
around. So I just took advantage of it in the worst way. Like, okay, I'm gonna eat this blast from Sonic that my husband bring me every time he bring it.
Yeah.
And I found
Yeah.
myself eating blast like 3 and 4 times a week,
Wow.
not being active, because I couldn't. So
Yes.
it was coming. And so,
Yeah.
when I got to the point where my all of my jeans were too little and I started getting sweatpants, I knew there was something I had to change. I had to change that. I had to become more self-aware. Like, this is not who you are. This is not who God
Mm.
wants you to be. Get up. Let's
Yeah.
do something. But it starts with you.
Yeah.
You got to want to do it. And I wanted to do it.
Right.
And I take
Right.
that every day into consideration, that I feel healthier. I like
Mm.
the way that I look when I look at myself in the mirror. I like who I've
Yes.
become. That confidence,
Mm.
when you're at a healthy weight, that confidence
Yeah.
comes in, and it radiates.
Yes.
People's like, what are you doing? What have you done? You look great.
Yeah.
It starts from
Yeah.
within. You have to become self-aware. You have to
Glowing.
be. Hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
So that self-awareness is amazing when it's done in a healthy and positive way.
Healthy way. Right. Right.
Because you could,
Right.
do you believe that you can become so self-aware that it makes you arrogant or conceited?
It can. It
Mm,
can. My recognizing, who I am, my self-awareness is not, yes, it's for me to be the best individual that I can possibly be, but relating only to myself. I am within me is the best me, and I won't know the best me until I allow the best me to come out. And
absolutely.
so, but the best me has only been put on this earth to complement the best you,
Mm,
or to help bring out the best you,
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
compliment somebody else, or help bring out the best them. You know what I'm
mm-hmm.
saying? And when we look at it from that perspective, is nobody's higher than anybody else, and that's there's a scripture that says, no one should think more highly of themselves than what they ought to. You
Right.
know, I'm always humbled, even being an educator. This is my 5th year teaching, but when I'm around other teachers that have been teaching so long, and even though I might get accolades, I might get pats on the back, I might get students saying, "Oh, you're our favorite teacher," or
Mm-hmm.
parents saying that, "Man, I'm coming to your when I'm meeting with my students online once a week, I'm there because, man, it's always like the life coaching in me comes out even without
Uh-huh.
me saying I'm like."
And
You know
right,
what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
Because I'm
Mm-hmm.
always working on helping them to be the best them.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Going beyond. I call my class keyboarding with a twist, because I
Mm.
teach touch key typing. So I
Okay.
call it keyboarding with a twist, because
Mm-hmm.
there's only so much you can teach when it comes to teaching typing online. So I
Right.
just take it to another level.
Right.
I teach any and everything that you could possibly imagine. We talked about TikTok last month, just what's
Mm.
going on with TikTok in relation to, these young individuals. And,
Mm-hmm.
but, no matter what happens in my life, and accolades, and rewards and stuff like that, I know there's always somebody out there that uh, basically can do it better than me. you
Right.
know, and not that I can't do it as good as them. I just need to work hard. If I want to do it as good as them, I need to work as hard as they probably work to get where they're at. Because I don't
Absolutely.
know about anybody, living life has not been easy. I don't think living life is not easy for anybody, because
Right.
you have to. It's an ongoing process that we learn as we evolve,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes a lifetime to do that.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just glad that I'm at a point where I can say, you know what? I am so glad that I got out of my own way, became self-aware, so that I am walking in my purpose. Because do
Yeah.
you know how many people I've met along my journey who don't know what their purpose in life is? Some people don't even
Ooh.
realize that, like when you say, what is your purpose? It's like, what is that? They don't know
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
everybody was put here to do something, to fulfill something. And
Yes. Wow.
my heart goes out to the people who don't know that what their purpose is in life.
Yes.
But I sympathize with them because I've been there. I mean, I tapped into my purpose
Yes.
years ago, a long time ago. I ran from it. It was scary. But once you
Yes.
step into your own and realize that God equips you and your gifts will make room for you, there's no need to be
Yes.
afraid. Just pray and seek God
Yeah.
diligently, study so that you can know what you're doing, because people will call you
Yes.
out on it. You say you're expert in this. Okay, let's just see.
Yes. Right.
And if
Correct.
when you know, yeah, come on with it. All right. Ask me what you want to ask me
Yeah.
and you'll be ready.
Yeah.
That boldness,
Yeah.
that confidence come out because
Yeah.
you've done the work.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Absolutely.
I'm a writing coach as well. So I tell people all the time, I can help you to a certain extent, but at the end of the day, it's your project. So how
Right.
bad do you want it?
Right.
How bad do you want
Right.
it? So I say all
Absolutely.
that to say, when it comes to self-awareness, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want to learn yourself enough to know that
Mm.
I need to make some changes in my life when it comes to being self-aware? Because I
Mm.
don't want to go through life being so self-absorbed where I miss out on people, places, and things that that
Mm,
are put here to help me fulfill my purpose. And I just push them away
yes.
because I'm so off-putting by being
Mm,
arrogant or conceited
yes.
or self-absorbed
Yes.
or just,
Mm,
lack self whatever.
yeah. Yeah.
No one wants to
Yeah.
deal with someone who think that they know everything, that they can do no
Yes.
wrong, that their way is the right way. It's enough assholes in the world. We don't need any more,
Yeah.
And that's
Right.
just how I look at it. And
Right.
I tell people, do you want to be labeled as that? If not, then change the way that you act or think or view stuff. Change the way that you
Right.
treat people. Change the way that you treat yourself, because it starts with that first.
Mm,
How you
absolutely.
treat yourself determines how you gonna allow somebody else to do it and how you would treat someone else. So
Yes. Yeah.
I just, on
Absolutely.
on a personal note, what would you tell your younger self about today's topic, which is self-awareness?
Um, I would tell my younger self that you can do and accomplish any and everything that you believe within yourself that you can do. Um, because there's some benefits of self-awareness, like it can help us be more proactive. It can encourage us positive development. It can allow us to practice self-awareness. One of the benefits is self-control.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, Self-awareness actually helps us to lead to making better decisions. And it can help. One thing I lack, and younger Amos, you can be self-awareness can help us be more self-confident. I lacked that
Mm.
when I was coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like Amos, you can do, and I'm not saying you can do anything as far as be president and all that stuff like that. All that is really it's based on the individual and how bad they want it and want to pursue something. I never
Mm-hmm.
wanted to pursue that bad, but
Me
I
either.
lacked self-confidence to pursue the things that I was capable of doing. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? And even
Mm-hmm.
when I accomplished things, I didn't experience the fulfillment that I should have been experiencing because of the lack of confidence.
Right. So now, before we get off, do you have any tips that you can offer our listeners today, as well as myself, because I'm a listener as well? I'm listening to you talk about these tips when it comes to practicing positive self-awareness. Do you have any tips that you can offer us today?
I have one of the main tips, and because I've been sharing this with a lot of individuals, is journaling, journalizing what you're feeling, you know, what you're feeling in your emotions, what you're feeling within yourself, how your body's reacting. Just almost doing a diagnostic. Let your journal be like a diagnostic of yourself
Mm.
every day, and then that way you can start seeing the tendencies, the habits that you have that you may need to change.
I love that daily self-diagnostic.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That is awesome, because I like to journal, and I have several journals, but I bought a journal last year, and it's called the self-love journal. So you write
Okay.
about how were you feeling at the beginning of this month? What were your top wins? What would you do different next month that you didn't incorporate, this last month? What self-care practices did you practice? And it has a whole list that you can check off. So maybe that's something we can create. A
Mm.
self-awareness, self-diagnostic journal.
Nice.
Y'all heard it
Yes.
here?
Yes.
Y'all heard it here?
Yes.
Don't nobody go and try to take it. No, 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 no. Y'all heard it here on Kickin with KeKe. You listen. No, we gonna. It's enough for everybody. They journal wouldn't be like
Yes.
our journal. So go for it.
Right.
Let's see
Oh
which journal will be the
yeah.
best. Let's go for it. If y'all think y'all can beat us, hey, we accept the challenge.
Yes.
Because we know how we
Absolutely.
coming, right, Pastor? We know how we
Yes.
coming. But yeah,
Absolutely.
for those people who are not journalists, who don't like to journal, what is a tip that you can give them? Because I learned from my sister, you know, she's not a journal, she don't journal. She is something that she found out by going to a therapist that she is not good at. She don't like to do it. So her therapist was like, well, journaling is not your thing. Find something that you like to do. So for the people who
Mm,
are listening who don't like journaling, let's give them a tip.
mm. Now, as you were saying that, I thought about video diaries.
Oh, I like
Like,
that.
that is powerful too, as you watch yourself. Because if we're doing self-awareness, watching myself evolve
Mm,
or seeing myself from an external perspective, because a video diary, I'm going to be able to see myself from this external perspective and possibly like, oh, because I remember when I first started doing some things online live, we was doing Instagram live, and I remember you telling me some things you had noticed, and so I went back to the live and I said like,
watch it.
that's what she was talking about, and
Hmm.
so it helped enhance my self-awareness
Hmm.
by what you had pointed out, and not that you pointed out and I just took it as verbatim, but I
Hmm.
went and saw it myself. I
Right.
went
And
and
you
saw
have
my,
to.
yes,
You have
yes,
to.
and excuse me, and was able to perceive, what I needed to perceive to make the necessary changes
To
that I
grow.
made.
Hmm. In order
Yeah,
to grow and change,
absolutely.
you want someone who has been there, that got the
Yes,
same constructive criticism from someone else, who went back and changed and made those changes, to pour, pour into you. Because if I can't
mm-hmm.
pour into you and we're trying to do the same thing and become great at it together, why would do we need to be in each other's lives that I'm just going to sit on all of the information that I've learned that somebody gave to me,
Right,
and you're doing the same thing, and
right,
you're in your new season of doing that. And a lot of people do
right.
that. One thing I can say about 2020, it opened doors for so many people when it came to starting a platform of whatever they
Yes,
decided that they wanted to use their platform for.
right.
At first, Instagram was like, no, we're gonna give y'all 30 minutes to do what y'all do, and we cutting you off. You gotta start over. And
Right.
then it went from 30 minutes to an hour. And now it's like unlimited. They don't cut me
Mm,
off. I've done it for 3 seasons, and now they don't cut me off. Like I'm not trying to go for like hours and hours and hours like that, but
right, right.
I've ran over the hour and 30-minute mark a couple of times, and they have never cut me off. So
Wow.
when it comes to creating content, the sky is the
Mm,
limit. If there's something that you're passionate
yes,
about, they have so
yes,
many ways to do that. Like you said, video journaling, you can journal from your phone. And if you decided to post
yes,
it, then just post it to your
yes,
page. If not, you can delete it.
yes, and
Just do
yes,
it for
yes,
yourself. And if you decide after watching it back that what you're saying can help inspire somebody else, why not post it? Why sleep on that?
right. Yeah.
You have to know that your words give voices, give a voice to so many people that don't realize that they need that voice.
Yes,
Because a
yes.
lot of people sit on a lot of stuff for fear of rejection, or looking like
Mhm.
they, don't know what they're talking about, or they may have don't have the confidence or whatever. So use your platform and your self-awareness to help someone else become aware of themselves.
Yes, right. Absolutely.
So before we get off tonight, is there any takeaway message that you would like to give our listeners to about self-awareness?
Because and this could be also a tip to a final tip. Um, in your journey for self-awareness, align yourself with individuals that are adding to your life and not taking away. Um, there are a lot of they've been called spiritual vampires, they've been called
Mm,
emotional vampires, they've been called vampires that um, prey on those individuals who are not self-aware, who are not mindful of their boundaries and their space.
mm,
And I would encourage you, because in 2020, because of the pandemic, because of self-awareness, a lot of people recognized toxic relationships they were in. They allowed, they recognized a lot of relationships that were not beneficial for their growth. And they made some tough decisions, and the majority of them do not regret it. Do not regret it. So I would encourage anybody on their self-awareness journey, especially if they're beginning, to be prayerful and mindful that they may possibly have to make, where they need to align themselves with individuals that are adding to their lives, not taking away, and being mindful that they may have to actually cut off some people out of their lives because they don't want what you want,
Right.
And some may not want anything. And that is not good for nobody, to be, in league with somebody that don't want nothing, or clueless, or if they don't know their purpose, how can they help you with your purpose? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. And so they could actually wind up dragging you. They're not intentional. It's nobody intentional. Like, oh, I'm gonna intentionally sabotage this individual that I know like me, or I know that's in my corner. Nobody in their right mind does that. Yeah. But they may actually hinder you from that achieving that the ultimate, when it comes to living your best life. And so I would be mindful of that, aligning yourself with individuals that are adding to your life and not taking away.
Love that. I love that. And so on that note, we're going to go ahead and close out. You guys have been listening to Kicking It with KeKe, love, life, and all that other shit. Okay, I'm sorry. I am here every Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Tell a friend, share. I believe that Kicking It with KeKe, because we're talking about life, love, and all the shit that happens in between, we're getting down to the nitty and gritty of conversations that will change the narrative within our lives as well as our communities, so that we can start conversations within our households and stuff, relevant conversations that will, make people think, make people grow, make people want to do better and change and evolve into the people that they're supposed to be. It starts, I believe that my platform is relevant, and it starts here for me to start those conversations so that other people can listen and start the conversations themselves. So that's my whole purpose of starting my podcast. I'll be back. I'm excited. I'm excited. And I'm also proud of myself. Pastor Amos Chandler, thank you so much for kicking it with me today. It's always a pleasure. You know how we do. We could talk for hours, but we don't have the time. We're not going to do that today. We're not going to do that today.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you won't be a stranger for the podcast. So I will be in touch when it comes to another topic that we'll talk about. I have it written down, something that we touched on a little bit, but we'll talk more about it. Until next time, you guys, make sure that you love yourself enough to become self-aware so that you can live your life to the fullest and not die regretting not doing anything in this lifetime. I heard a pastor say, die empty. Like, that means give it your all while you're here, because it doesn't matter when you're gone.
I heard the same thing.
Yep. So you guys, y'all be blessed. See you next time. Bye.